Welcome in Out of Touch. You may notice that this isn't the typical way that I intro a show. Normally I say a bunch of goofy stuff about why you might be out of touch. And I wanted to do that tonight, but there's a reason that I didn't. And there's multiple reasons on why I guess it came to be, and it's honestly not that big of a deal, but I'm not in the best mood tonight. We'll just go ahead and put it that way. And I'm not angry. But there are certain things, and we're going to get into, this is going to be the first thing we talk about as well. And I don't want to, put this on you as a listener. I don't want to vent to you and make you feel like this is, I don't want you to feel like you're just taking it in. But I feel like I'm dealing with some burnout, guys, Dustin and Mitchell. Dustin Shoes with me as always, Mitchell Page too. I didn't even remember to introduce you. I just feel like I'm all out of sorts. And it's one of those things where I have overloaded my schedule. This is Tuesday when we're recording this, and we were supposed to start this recording about a half hour ago, and I kept updating Mitchell and Dustin like, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. Oh, now I'm going to be a little bit later. And I know they're both great dudes. Like, they're not going to get mad at me. At least they're not going to act like they are. But I feel bad about it. And the more things like this happen, and they don't always happen, they just seem to happen a lot recently, I feel like. But the past two nights, with my work schedule and other things that I have commitments to outside of work, I have not gotten home until it's been nearly pitch black outside. And again, it's only Tuesday. And I know I'm not the only person in the world with this problem. So if you're listening and you have this, I'm not sitting here trying to act like, oh, poor me. I have to come home and I have a job and I have to, deal with life. Like, I'm a 26-year-old person with a job, and I'm married. I'm just figuring out life, and I'm venting right now, and hopefully you're appreciating it. Maybe you can relate. Dustin, Mitchell, take this away from me. Take this away and share your thoughts, please.
I'm stealing the mic away from Out of Touch featuring John Alden with special guests Dustin Schutte and Mitchell Page, just temporarily. First of all, take the burden off yourself. I'm just going to tell you right now, most of the time I'm just sitting on my couch watching sports. So you're good. I don't have any other plans. I don't have a lot going on. The second thing is that if people are watching this on YouTube, this has bothered me. And this is part of the reason you're frustrated too, John. Not on my end, but on your end. Is because my computer broke, so I have to use my phone. And I have to turn it sideways so everybody can see this beautiful mugshot and this beautiful backdrop here I've got. But the problem is I'm always confused as to where the camera is. So I always feel like that Step Brothers picture with Will Ferrell and who's the other guy?
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Yes, John C. Reilly, where they're just like looking away from the camera and staring off into the abyss. That's how I feel when recording this on my phone.
Well, I do the same thing. And for those of you, I actually haven't even mentioned this yet. If you're watching on YouTube, you may notice that my camera looks different. Last week, I didn't even have a camera. It broke right before we started recording. I went and bought one a few days ago, and I was at Walmart, and I'm a cheapskate. And I looked at the cameras. I'm like, you know what? If I can get the cheapest one and it work the way that I want it to, I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna make that work. Well, of course, I bought one that was $25, and it looked like it was, up to par. At least the design of it. But of course, it's a Walmart brand. So what the hell is it? I mean, I look like, if you're watching this on YouTube, my audio sounds fine, thankfully. But if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like I'm being recorded on something that was invented in the year 2003. And that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'm going to return it. But it's just ridiculous that I thought that it was going to be all fine and dandy to look professional doing a podcast with something that costs less than premium price.
Yeah, I think the burnout that you're feeling, it feels like there's just been just a marathon of things going on in the last week that's just been frustrating to you. I don't know.
If I did a poor job at explaining my burnout, I apologize. I feel like I'm all over the place.
No. If somebody doesn't experience burnout in their job, I don't think they actually have a job. I don't care.
Correct.
We would hear it not all the time, but when I reference college a lot, but you think about it, like people that love sports, coaching college football has got to be the best job in the world, right? Like, can't imagine anything better than that. But those guys are working, never coming home. They're during the season in the office till 11 p.m. if they're doing it right, and they're getting burned out as much as anybody. So I don't think that feeling burnout, if you don't feel burnout every once in a while, something's wrong with you. I don't care if you have the best job in the world and you love it. Sometimes working just sucks.
And I do love my job. And I feel like most people hope to get in a career where they love their job.
Mm-hmm.
But there is such thing as too much of a good thing. And maybe that doesn't quite fit this description, but still overdoing anything is. And Dustin, I know you've most certainly experienced burnout, I'm sure. You got plenty good things to mention on that.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to back up your point. Like, there is such thing as too much of a good thing. Like, obviously, I've covered sports now for over a decade, and it's kind of like Mitchell's point with football coaches, like, oh, I'd love to be doing that. But a lot of people don't understand what that entails. And so, like, when I was covering strictly college football, I was watching pressers, reading stories, talking with players and coaches, and it's nonstop, especially during the season. So when it came to be Sunday afternoon, everybody's like, what NFL game you watching? Nah, man, I'm going on a hike. I'm going to go watch an old movie. I'm going to do something that is not sports related. So I get, like, you. Not only that, John, you work in radio, and then you come and you host a podcast with us. So I totally get the burnout. I totally get it.
Yeah, and and that's another thing. Like, I hate coming home, and I did not dread doing this, and that's why I said I don't want this to feel like I'm just venting at the audience or that I'm venting at you, Dustin or Mitchell. But like, this is, and Dustin, I think you actually texted this to me, or maybe you mentioned it to me the other day. Like, this is an outlet just to be who we are and say things that are on our minds. Like, yeah, we're gonna laugh and have a good time, but I definitely want this to be a place where each of us can express things that may have bothered us or things that are, weighing us down. And we've already done that to an extent, but like, bring your emotions to this thing. I certainly have, and will probably continue to do so in the future. But like, I feel like I haven't even had coffee since 3:00 in the afternoon today. And I feel like I feel like I just drank some coffee just to keep it light, but
so you've mentioned two things now, and this is what I wanted to ask Mitchell about, because last week we got a great text message from Mitchell as soon as we stopped recording. One, you mentioned the word cheapskate, and then you mentioned coffee, John. Do you remember the text that he sent us immediately after we stopped recording?
I don't actually. I don't remember the text message.
Girl math.
So the girl math. Yeah. And it was about, Mitchell was talking about how basically he doesn't see it as like a priced item it's not 50% off. Let's say it's $20. It's not you save $10. It's you spent $10. Now, I think Mitchell should say this story because it was literally like 5 minutes after we were done.
It was less than that because I'm just in our office right now and I don't live in a mansion. So I just went around the corner and my wife Laura was out there and she can't hear what we're talking about when we're in here. And we had just wrapped up talking about it. And I can't even remember what she was buying, but she was talking about, hey, look, this thing that's usually $100 is on sale. So we're saving $25. And it could not have, like, word for word, verbatim, exactly how she said it. I had to text you guys immediately. And I told her, she was like, what? What's so funny? What's so funny? And I told her, you just have to listen. You go listen to the episode.
Did she listen?
And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Did she listen to last week's podcast?
She did. I actually
so
think
what
she's
did she?
doing it right
what are Laura Page's thoughts on girl math then?
She is a believer.
Oh, she is a believer. Okay. It checks out then.
100% believer. You know who else? This is my mom's shout out. You know who else is a big believer? My mom, which was shocking to me. She's like, you're totally off on that. everything they were saying about girl math is the way that it actually is.
That is insane to me too, though.
I know.
My wife, she's been really getting into the I'm sure you've seen Temu ever since those Super Bowl commercials started airing this past February. You're not familiar with Temu based on your facial expression? So it's not, I mean, I say it's like Amazon, but it's not like Amazon. It's just a place you order things online. It's from China, of course, with a name like Temu. Where else would it be from? But my wife loves to order things on there. The shipping is very slow, but I could be wrong about this. I think it's free, and everything is super cheap on there. And so,
is it closed? Does it come in like a little black box that zips? And it's like,
I don't know. I'm not too sure, honestly. But
those started
according to my wife, everything with Temu that's under $5 is basically free. So if you get, I don't know, 8 things that are under $5, which would, equate to about $40, apparently that's still free.
Yeah, it's barnacle head is what I would say.
I love that word. Barnacle head.
Yeah, this is barnacle.
You know you guys keep using the term girl math. I'm saying this is still Dustin math. The only thing I didn't agree with, well, I guess there was 2 things. The first thing was the Starbucks gift card, because if you put money onto a gift card and then you use the gift card, you still spent money on the gift card.
Yeah.
The other thing was like the under $5. To me, that depends. Like what you just said. It depends. Exactly. Like the sleeve of golf balls. Yes, that's free if it's less than $5. If it's a candy bar, no, it's not. It is free. Do you know how expensive golf balls are?
Yeah.
Do you know how frequently I lose them?
Yeah, why can't it just be a good deal?
My bad. Go ahead. What?
No, I was just saying, why can't you say, why does it? It's the obsession with things being free. Why can't it just be a good deal? Like if you're talking about golf balls, like yes, a good set of golf balls is probably way too expensive. So if you find some good cheap ones, it's not free, but it's a fantastic deal.
No, it's free.
Okay.
I think I'm more in line with you on that, John. I'm not necessarily trying to think it's free, but I'm looking for something that is justifiable in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. We won't spend, the whole podcast talking about girl math again, but I'm glad we got to kind of wrap it up.
Do you guys, when you go to the grocery store, do you get the store brand, like ranch
Depends
dressing?
on what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You won't get Hidden Valley. You get, like I get Publix. Yeah.
Yes. Publix, or now that I'm up here in Indiana, Kroger. I go for Kroger, it's so much cheaper and it's the same.
It's the same.
Some things really aren't.
Sure we agree.
Like I've mentioned before that I get store brand coffee, and honestly, that's probably one of the dumbest things that I do. But
Why?
It is what it is. What?
Why?
Because I feel like the caffeination high that you get from it is way too much for me. I don't know if it's just because they over caffeinate their coffee, but it is what it is. So yeah, girl math. What else has been going on with you guys? Now that I'm
doing a thing.
What is the thing that you're doing, Mitchell Page?
I hate working out, so I'm signing up with my buddy for a Spartan race, 21K Spartan race.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what all does this entail?
I don't even know. I told him just signing up. I'll figure it out. It's over 13 miles. I don't know why I did it.
Is that a mini marathon? That's a mini, isn't it?
Yeah, a half. It's a half marathon. But the reason I think I can do it, Laura signed up for some, I don't even know when it was. It was in August or something, July maybe, but whatever it was. And she signed up for this half marathon, and she was going to run it with somebody. They backed out, so she was going to be by herself. So she's like, oh, I'm just going to drop out. So I said, no, I'll just run with you. How hard could it be? So I didn't do any training or anything and just ran this thing. Now I was dead and couldn't walk for a week, but it wasn't that hard. So I want to add some obstacles. So I started my training. I'm actually going to train for it. I started my training today. Feeling pretty good.
When is this again?
Too soon. It's in November.
Holy cow.
You have just under 2 months, yeah.
But I figured it can't be like running 13 straight miles is hard. Like I was always obviously short burst, quick twitch kind of runner. Like even at my best shape, I couldn't run a fast mile. but I figure with all the obstacles, I'm still strong. I can break up the run, I guess, right?
This is such a college athlete mentality, and this is why you get to
This
where
is why you
you
were a
are
Division
at.
One athlete.
I would have cried and I would give up at some point. You're not going to give up. I would cry and give up and then just walk home. I
How
don't
hard
even
could
know
it
where it
be?
is. You just 13 miles. So let me tell you, I did a half marathon one time, fell down at the at the finish line, and had to crawl my ass to the ice tent so they could take care of me. It was not a pleasant sight. I complained everybody around me had to have hated me because for the final 3 miles, I was doing nothing but complaining the entire time.
That's me too. That's me
Like
too.
I
Well,
like
where'd
this
you
is
run
like
it?
I was in Florida at the time.
Okay, so that's flat too. Like ours was in Charleston.
Yeah.
We at the 10-mile mark, we had a small incline up this little bridge. I was like screaming. There's all these people around. I'm yelling at
hmm
myself to get up this hill. It was semi embarrassing, but we knocked it out. I don't think it'll be that hard. I'm almost tricking myself to be excited.
And that's
I'm
probably what
rooting
you
for
have to
you.
do because, I mean,
Yeah.
who wants to put their body through something like that?
I no, I think okay, so I'm at the age now where I still work out, I run, I lift weights, but I'm also at the I don't have any real goals,
Yeah.
right? And so it makes it harder for me to want to go to the gym. So I don't know if I would do a Spartan race, but for example, at Truist Park, which is where the Atlanta Braves play, on 9/11 or maybe the weekend of 9/11, they did a firefighter stair climb at the stadium. And I don't know what all that entailed, but a lot of places do where in honor of the firefighters and who climbed up those stairs with
It's like
70
110
pounds of
flights
equipment.
or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if they do that exactly or what, but that's something that I want to do that. Like I reached out next year, is that something I can do? I think it's for a good cause. Your donations go to a good cause. It's in memory of a lot of heroes who lost their lives on that day. And then it's also something that you can kind of gear your mind towards and prepare yourself for. Because when I just go to the gym, I'm just I have a workout plan, but I'm not really working towards anything. This is
Yeah.
also why I'd like to do that Ninja Warrior course. Not on
Yeah.
actual Ninja Warrior, but just to participate, see if I could do it.
Yeah,
That would be another
that's
thing.
where I'm at. Like, can I do it? I don't know. But
hmm
I'll tell you guys, this is total transparency. I'm 30 and I'm teetering. Like, am I going to be fit or am I going to be fat? And I got to make a choice. And I feel like I got to make it now.
No, you don't. Let me
Oh,
tell
the
you
way I
why.
eat.
Okay, I was just gonna say the reason I tell you why is because 18 months ago I was not in this good a shape. I could not. I don't know if I could have walked 3 miles. I
Really?
wasn't. I was not. I was just so out of I wasn't fat, quote unquote, but I was out of shape. I had a pooch where I kept my extra cookies. John probably gets that reference if you saw New Girl. Um, and then I just made a decision get out of this funk, go to the gym. So I started eating healthier, started working out, and I look a lot I compare the pictures side by side to where I was 18 months ago, probably closer to 2 years now. But you don't have to make that decision just yet. But I know the feeling that you're at where it's this could get out of control
That's
real
where I'm at.
fast.
Like, we can either get
Yeah.
out of hand or we can rein it in. And what are you going to do?
It is
hmm
interesting. I believe each of us we're each about 5 years apart from the next person, right? I'm 26, Mitchell's 30. Dustin, are you 34?
35.
35. So 4 to 5 years apart. And I'm the one I just get to watch and see. I get to hear about what you all have done, or not what you've done wrong necessarily, but what you've done and how to avoid it, right? That's my perspective. And
Yeah, what
Dustin,
I
with
did
all the
wrong was
wisdom, gets to teach us how to avoid.
Yeah. What
that
I did
stuff.
wrong was playing football. That's what I did wrong. I wake up like an 80-year-old man, roll out of bed and get a walker to go brush my teeth.
Do you ever regret that? Do you have conflicting obviously you had an awesome time at points, but do you ever I wish I wouldn't have played football?
No. Obviously, I mean, that would be insulting the thousands of kids that start playing when they're in third grade and dream of signing an NFL contract. That would just be an insult to them. But yeah, I mean, I paid for it big time. I've got some serious tendonitis that's working in my right knee. I've got shoulders that sometimes don't go as high as I'd like. Yeah, I mean, my back is destroyed. It's bad for golf, I can tell you that.
And you take pride in how well you play golf.
Yeah, it's the only thing I got. Like, that's
this
it.
And now your obstacle course training.
Yeah, that's
Golf
right.
and a Spartan
add.
race.
Yeah,
That's
I
right,
got to add
Spartan race.
things.
Dustin,
What?
I wanted to ask you this, and I actually wanted to ask you off air in case you didn't want to talk about this. So if you don't, then we can cut it. But I noticed, so you did some hiking this past weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
I noticed that you mentioned on one of your stories that you I don't know if you have a fear of it, but you climb some ladders.
Yeah.
Do you have a fear of ladders, of climbing ladders?
I have a fear of heights, like a crippling fear of heights. Okay, so we are going to get into this. This isn't embarrassing to me, by the way. So I went out to Turkey Run, and people who are listening, whether from Indiana or live in Indiana, are probably familiar with that state park. It's probably the best state park in Indiana. And
Brown County. Come on now.
Is it Brown? I don't even know the county. I know it's out west.
No. Turkey Run is not Brown County, but I think Brown County is the best state park.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
that's down by
maybe I'll hit
Columbus, Bloomington.
All right. Well, maybe I'll hit that up next time.
Need to.
So, there's a lot of different like rock formations at Turkey Run, and it's kind of like what you're talking about, Mitch. Like, I guess I should go back and backtrack just a little bit. Like, hiking is my way to challenge myself. Like, I have a fear of heights. I want to push myself to the limit. I'm not going to like skydive or go up anything that's going to be death defying. But when I'm out there, I want my only thoughts are what's going to be my next step. Because if I don't think about my next step, I could slip and fall and get hurt. I could die, whatever the case might be. So I like those kind of challenges. Having said that, there is a point on one of the trails, Trail 3 at Turkey Run, where the only way, well, I guess you got two options. You go down this rock gully is the only way I can describe it. And you've got two options. You're going to climb up the ladders or you're going to go back the same way you came in. And I told myself, all right, self, you're going to climb up these ladders. You're going to do it. They're not that tall. They're probably, 8 to 12 feet, depending. I don't have great. But I told myself I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. Did it help that a group of 25 third graders climbed down the ladder before I went up the ladders? Yes, because I wasn't going to be shown up by a bunch of 8-year-olds who had no fear of climbing down this death-defying trap. But yeah, I mean, like to me, that's a big deal. Like, I'll go on top of a lighthouse, like just to view it, right? You're in that little circular area around the lighthouse. And I've had to sit down because I have such a fear of heights. Like sit down in that little area out there and then kind of crawl back into the lighthouse.
Does it make you like a sick feeling in your stomach?
It's that feeling in your gut where it's like, that feeling when you're free falling?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I get that feeling just from the heights. And my palms get sweaty. I get really trembly. So I'm just constantly afraid that I'm going to fall. So to me, going up those ladders, while it wasn't a big deal to a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds because they're showing off, it was a big deal to me because it's a crippling fear. So I forced myself to go up those stairs or go up those ladders. And yeah, I was proud of myself. I'll admit it.
Let's go. We all have fears of, I don't want to say it's irrational. It's irrational in the fact that like it's a disorder in our mind that creates the fear. Everyone has the right to their own irrational fears. But I've mentioned this on different shows that I've done before. I hate flying in airplanes. I may have even mentioned on this before. But I haven't been on an airplane since, I don't remember exactly what age I was, but it was, I think, right before high school, the last time I've been on an airplane. The very first time that I got on an airplane, before we landed, have I told this story before? In my mind, I feel like I've told this on this podcast. Maybe I haven't. But right before we landed, I was going from Louisville to Orlando to see my dad, who was living in Florida at the time. And before we could land, we weren't able to because of the storms in the area. So we had to continually circle the airport. And on top of that, you're seeing lightning everywhere. The turbulence and stuff isn't, the most fun thing to deal with. And when you're at that age, middle schoolish, it's a very influential age, I feel like, to be, learn to be scared of certain things. And I had never flown before that, like I said. And it's one of those things I was super excited to fly before that. But because of that experience and then subsequent experiences after that, not that the other flights I had been on before my last one were any worse than the first one, I couldn't get the feeling of what happened on the first one out of my head. And so it's one of the things I haven't gotten over that I want to get over, and hopefully down the road that I do. But it's weird to me that I haven't flown to any destination in the last, I don't know how many years, I guess. But however many years from 26 to before high school, I guess close to 11 or 12 years. It's weird to me that, Mitchell, I'm sure, you've flown all over the place, whether it be with football or I guess traveling in general. I knew you went to Austria. Like, the thought of even leaving the country via airplane terrifies me. Yeah,
that's crazy to me. I've taken 100 flights probably. Just, you would have hated playing college football. I can tell you that.
People tell me in this industry, like, and maybe not specifically in radio, but like people say in broadcasting, you've got to go all over the place. And I told myself,
Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit does game day and then flies somewhere else. Usually he does a Friday night game, flies to game day, goes somewhere else, comes back and does the game day game. And then now he's doing, I think, Sunday or Monday night for the NFL.
He doesn't even have time to think about it.
No. Eventually you just whatever.
That's the thing. Like, I told myself if I got in this business, and thankfully, I guess, I don't know. Is it really thankfully? Thankfully, from my fears perspective, I haven't had to deal with it yet. I have a very small role with the company companies that I work for. And I'm sure down the line, hopefully I have a lot of life ahead of me. I don't know what things have in store for me, but hopefully I have plenty of life left. But it is one of those things I just hope to get over. Everybody has their own, like, Dustin, you mentioned heights, and Mitchell, I'm not obligating you to share a fear you may have, but I feel like everybody has something.
Well, this is a good segue. One last point on flying. It's gotten better now that I'm working, because when you take off, like, no one can call you. You're in the plane.
Yes. I think what it is.
Read a book. Like, it's one of the very few times you get, unless you set aside specific time for yourself, that you just get to sit there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours straight, and nobody bothers you. Now, you're a little uncomfortable, you're a little cramped, but no one talks to you. And that is exactly what I like.
But I think part of the fact, I think one of the things I hate about planes too now, especially now that I'm older, like if I were to get on a plane, something that would bother me, I would hate being on a plane knowing that whoever I might sit next to may either smell bad, or they may think I smell bad, or maybe they just don't like the way that I look or something like that. I don't like the idea of being next to a stranger who is just as unhappy to be on the plane as I am.
See, I've never thought about it like that. I couldn't care less what the person next to me is doing. I don't care if they're 500 pounds, because they've made the seats bigger. So if I was 6'5", that would be a problem. But I get on these planes, and I guess this is crazy. I'm going to keep saying this. Somehow we have all never met in person. Well, I was thinking about this. I got to find an IU game to come back for, and we can just all go to it.
Book a flight right now. I'll be up in Indianapolis this weekend. As he checks his calendar.
Don't tempt me. But like, I get on a flight. When you go out into the world, I'm a normal sized person, like 5'7", whatever, a little too heavy. But like, I can get on that thing and my legs are almost swinging. Like, there's all kinds of space. I don't care. I could not care less about what the person next to me is doing. if you have like one of the memberships, and you don't ever fly, so you probably don't, but like if you fly American or Delta or United, you just download their app. You don't even have to pay. You can go in and choose your seat. So you always sit in the aisle or the window, and you're just chilling. I love flying. It's go to the airport, hang out. I never stress about any of it. It's just perfect.
I think another thing too is, and Dustin, I feel like I don't want to keep you from chiming in, but another thing that I feel like is a big part of it is just not being in control of anything. I love taking road trips, and part of that is because I get to decide the route that I'm taking, and you get to see all these wonderful things on your way, whichever way you may be going. Whenever you get to the airport, the moment you walk in and hand the baggage check people your luggage, you're pretty much everything's in their hands from that point.
Fingers crossed that your stuff ever shows up.
You go through TSA. You better pray that the weather's nice, so your flights don't get delayed. And don't even mention, I've never even been on a connecting flight. The fact that people fly from one place to fly to their actual destination, I don't know if I said that correctly, flying to a place in between their actual destination, I cannot imagine the stress of getting off and on different planes to get where you need to go.
When I was flying to Germany and Austria, I did this 4 total times, there and back. I basically packed up everything I had, all my clothes, and flew. The first time I flew out of Orlando because I went down and met my buddy down there who was playing quarterback for the team I was playing. So I take all my stuff, fly from Indy to Orlando. We fly Orlando to Atlanta to Frankfurt to Dresden. And all my stuff had to follow me without me ever touching it.
That's nuts.
I never touch it, and it's just out there. And somehow it got on every plane that I was on and was right there ready to pick up when I got there. But the only thing that gets a little stressful, and like I said, I don't have a lot going on. So whenever I fly with my golf clubs, that's different.
Pride possession, right?
There's so much that can go wrong. You've seen videos of the people that are loading up those planes, launching the stuff.
That's true.
Snap my clubs. They could lose my clubs, and that would just be a big problem. But this is a good little segue because we talk about fears. I used to really want to go skydiving, and I used to. Now I really don't want to do this. Okay. And I don't think my wife will have a problem with me talking about this because I want your guys' honest opinion. She knows that I don't want to go. But she wants to go for her birthday in February. And similar to the marathon that I just ran with her, if no one goes, I know that I am going to go with her. And I really do not want to go. But I'm going to go. My question to you guys is, regardless of whether I'm going or not, I will go. Do you think that I have to go?
Dustin, you want to go first?
Oh, man.
If you don't go, she's going by herself.
Man, that's tough. Because then, oof.
You're jumping out of a plane.
I know. And I have a deathly fear of heights and have no desire to do that. Like, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. It's either...
that's the tough part.
See, that's the tough part. It's either basically you go... She's going to do it no matter what?
Yes.
Is she going to... She's not going to resent you for not going, would she? Like, is that part of the...
No, this is more like a hypothetical. Imagine it's not me and her. This is just like... Husband A and wife A. Wife A wants to go. Husband A really does not want to go. Is husband bad husband if he doesn't go?
I don't think
so. I think if you... Okay, how do I phrase this? I think if you were just not going to be a jerk, then I think it's a different story. Like, if you don't want to go because it's a legitimate fear, I think that's a different story. I don't think that makes you a bad person or a bad husband. But if you were like, no, I'm not doing that, I'll do it some other time, then that's a different story.
But, like, she's scared too.
An ass.
She's scared too. And so you would sit on the ground and send her up by herself?
I would talk her out of it.
That's I hate that though.
See,
that makes it feel like it's like
no,
you're trying to keep her from basing her fears.
This is like a conversation about ethics. I don't know, like, man, I don't.
This is one I want to hear in the comments. We've gotten some comments. I want to hear. This is totally hypothetical. Take us three out of it. This is just a random person. Husband is really not wanting to go. Person A, it doesn't even have to be husband and wife. It's person A and person B. Person A, very scared, does not want to go. Person B, also very scared, but is doing it to, just like you climbing the ladders, conquer her fear. Is person A, I think, has to go.
So I think this would be another question. It also depends. This is why it's not. I don't know. There's so much gray area
trying to
here
be
with
freaking
with real life.
We're just a bunch
But
of
I feel like let's reverse the roles though. We are viewing this because we are the scared. Mitchell and I are the scaredy cats. John, I'm guessing, does not want to do this either.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the scaredy cat camp for sure.
Okay, so I'm glad we're all three. So
we're beta males. We've already discussed this. We're the beta males.
I was gonna mention the sickness. But let's reverse it and say we were on board with this. This is something we wanted to do. Or like it's something different, like go snorkeling or scuba diving, whatever. If that's something she doesn't really want to do, are you going to hold that against her? Does that make her a bad person? Because I wouldn't. I'm used to doing things by myself, and maybe that's a difference. I don't know, but like I wouldn't hold it against somebody if they didn't want to go do something with me because they had a legitimate fear. Like if you like, oh no, I got cards I'm playing at 3:00, can't go, then I would be pissed. But if you're like, I don't really want to go because it scares me, I'm not going to hold that against anybody.
I think there's two ways to answer. And
oh boy.
This could be taken wrong, and hopefully it's not, but I think if it's a she that doesn't want to go, that's fine. But if it's one of you two, I would be really mad. I would say, no, you're coming. I don't care if you're scared. I'm scared too. You're coming, and we're doing this.
I'd be even more terrified. I feel like I'm being dragged along.
I would drag you. I would pick you up and drag you.
I gotta say though, as much as horrible as that would be, what better way to conquer your fear than just be shoved right into it, thrown into the fire, kind of thing, right? I know that maybe that could be traumatizing, but I don't know. We're trying to solve the world's problems, and we're not the best at figuring.
This is kind of funny. I've had some buddies that have done it, and there's a couple separate stories that when you get up there, they say we're going to count to 3. And then they either jump at 1 or jump at 4.
Oh my God. Don't do 4 or else I'd lose my mind.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is so scary to me.
My heart would drop at 3 and then I'd just be sitting there. I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get the drop, but then you get the, oh my gosh, I'm still in the plane, and then you're out.
I feel like this would be another thing about it too. And maybe this is where the your being a pinch penny could come into play here. Like, if somebody paid for me to do that, I would be like, that is going to be the worst use of money because I'm not going to experience anything. I am legitimately going to close my eyes and cry. That's what that would be for me. It's not an experience. I'm going to be traumatized. I'm going to need to go to the hospital immediately after.
Yeah. It's not
No, I can't imagine it is.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's not like $1,000, but it's also not $20.
Well, that's enough for me right there. Like, I'm not paying money to put my, emotions in check like that.
I feel like it's something I would do if I was maybe like 75. And like, yeah, I've lived a pretty good. I've lived a pretty good life, and whatever you reach that point where whatever happens, happens. But at 35, it's going to be awfully hard to convince me to go skydiving. Let me clarify. It is impossible to convince me to go skydiving at 35.
Yeah.
Mitchell's like, he's sitting there thinking, for content, I'm going to drag John and Dustin to skydiving and we'll go viral, and this podcast will actually be viewed by more than 60 people.
I'm going to figure out where Aaron Rodgers did his darkness retreat and hide there while you guys go jump on the plane. That's what I'm going to do.
Where was that?
I thought it was
like
in Oregon.
South America or something?
Oh, maybe it was out of the country. I thought it was in Oregon or something.
I have no idea.
It didn't work.
Well, up to make a decision did not help his health.
Isn't that insane? Somebody goes through all this buildup, and not only that, but you've got what's the show? Hard Knocks. You got Hard Knocks doing the Jets this year, and you play 4 snaps, and your season's over.
And that Achilles, man.
Tendon.
Oof.
And at 39,
I don't know. He had a heck of a career no matter what. So
right.
I don't know. What else you got for us, John? It's 40
minutes. We're gonna lighten things up because I have one thing that I've been wanting to do. Not wanting to do, but I thought about it earlier today. I thought it'd be a good idea. So here in my neck of the woods, Louisville, Kentucky, over the next 2 weekends, a couple of festivals are going on. The Bourbon and Beyond Festival and the Louder Than Life Rock Festival. And I'm going to Louder Than Life. I've got some in-laws who are going to Bourbon and Beyond. And one thing I want to do with you guys, because I'm sure you're not, unless by chance you are, familiar with the lineups, I'm going to give you some band names, and I want you to either grade the name or tell me what you think of it, because there's some wild and wacky band names on here that I guarantee you've never heard of.
Okay, I was going to say, are these popular bands that we would have known, or no?
Most of these are probably bands that are like on the the undercard, ones you may not have heard of, and some of these don't have, there'll be some, I don't want to say expletives, but you'll just see when we get to it.
Let's go ahead and start with who's like the biggest one.
The biggest one. So I'll just give you the headliners for both festivals. The headliners for Bourbon and Beyond are Brandy Carlisle, The Killers, The Black Keys, and Bruno Mars.
Oh!
Yes, these are big time festivals. Louder Than Life's headliners. Oh, go ahead. You got?
No, I'm just saying I might need to get tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, continue.
Yeah. For Louder Than Life, you got Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, and Green Day headlining.
When is this?
This is in Louisville. This weekend is Bourbon and Beyond, Thursday through Sunday. Next weekend, Thursday through Sunday, is Louder Than Life.
Oh, okay.
Two of the biggest festivals in the United States, in terms of music festivals.
I did not realize this was happening. All right, continue with your game.
Well, I think I told you last year I went to Red Hot Chili Peppers. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story. Not that it's really much to say. I crowd surfed for the first time at Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Nice.
Last year. So that was an experience.
How does that
I'm hoping
get
I have
started?
a couple of stories. Oh, for crowd surfing?
Yeah. Did you just ask the guy next to you, hey, pick me up?
Well, my brother was with me, and he's much taller than I am, and he picked me up. But yes, that's how that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you pick me up? I really like to crowd surf.
Hey, pick me up.
It's if you've never done it, it's quite the experience, and it's fun. Hopefully, I have some stories to share from Louder Than Life. On my day, not only is there Tool, but Godsmack, Limp Bizkit, and everybody knows Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst. I'm excited to see what old man Fred Durst can do. I mean, have y'all seen the Woodstock documentary? The one that was on Netflix about the train wreck or whatever. Obviously, Limp Bizkit blamed for a lot of that. I'm obviously not anticipating that kind of disaster, but it will be fun to see a Limp Bizkit show. Anyway, let's get into some of these band names. Some of the most of these are the undercard type of band names, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. These first two are from Bourbon and Beyond. The rest will be from Louder Than Life because there's a lot more interesting names on the Louder Than Life lineup. But Frank Sullivan and the Dirty Kitchen.
Kind of like it. Depends on what they're playing.
Good point.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. What type of music will these guys be doing? Pixie and the Party Grass Boys.
I think we should guess what kind of music this is.
I feel like the Dirty Kitchen's got Is this all heavy rock though?
No, so for Bourbon and Beyond, it's more of a variety.
Okay, so they could have like bluegrass.
Oh, at bluegrass, sometimes country performers are here. Just it's a good mixture of everything.
Dirty Kitchen immediately screamed bluegrass. I don't know
It
why,
really
but
does.
it did.
And probably Pixie and the Party Grass Boys as well. One other one that I skipped over, Dumpsta Funk. I have no clue what that is, but I'm gonna assume they're funk. But I like the name Dumpsta Funk. Does that mean they think they're bad?
That
maybe. I love it.
Anyway, I may just run through some of these and just get your reaction from the names, because some of these, especially on the Louder Than Life lineup, are they're interesting. So let's just get right into it. Do I want to give you the big one at first? I don't think I should. Let's go with Beauty School Dropout, CU Space Cowboy, Mannequin Pussy.
Whoa!
Wargasm.
You went right into
Death Clock.
Yeah.
Whitechapel. Silly Goose. Baby Metal. The Viagra Boys.
I think you just commit to never being on the radio when you name your band that. Like, you just never commit. You commit to never making millions of dollars.
And then, one of those was not.
I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're not gonna make any money doing it. Is the primary goal here.
Yeah, especially the mannequin
dark
name. And apologies for the word that came after mannequin earlier, but we just had to be transparent about their name.
Yeah, my
right?
grandma listens to this, so.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah, she does. She loves it.
She might want to take a pause at about the 45-minute mark. Just tell her to skip ahead.
Yeah, that'll be a surprise for her, I'm sure, but that's okay.
You know what you should have done, John? And I know you had a frustrating day, so I'm not going to lament on what you could have done, other than just to say you should have taken these names and then mixed it up with some fake band names
and
made us guess.
We did that on a different show, and I didn't want to feel like I was copying that, so that's why I didn't do that.
I think that other show is the only one that's ever done that.
No, it's definitely not. Definitely not. I guess that's your point, right?
Yeah. I thought he was hitting you with a not so subtle jab there, John.
I don't. Yeah. Mitchell hits me with a not so subtle jab every week, and I don't ever understand what's going on. I don't read social cues the best. I don't think.
Yeah, that was just a straight jab right to the nose. That was no cover. That wasn't hidden behind anything.
You can barely see me anyway because of this $25 camera. So what's it matter?
That's true.
Hey, speaking of music, real quick, I don't know if you got more band names inappropriate.
No, I just wanted to run through some of the most interesting and obscure ones. We can end that one.
Do you know what I did today? I embarrassed myself. Do you know how? So almost every day, I go out to the park. There's a park about, I don't know, a quarter mile from my house. It's got about a mile loop trail that I walk to get my steps in. And I always have headphones in, and I'm always listening to music. It's very relaxing, very peaceful. Except today, I forgot where I was. You ever had that moment? I forgot where I was, and I just started dancing to the song. I don't remember the song. I just started dancing to the song. I look to my left, and there's like one of those, what do you call them? Not a studio. Oh my gosh. One of those little grill areas that you see at a park. It's got a covering, all that stuff.
Like a little, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's like a gazebo, but that's not the word.
Like an awning.
Close enough.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I looked over there, and looking back at me is like a Girl Scout troop of about 20 people and, I don't know, 6 to 8 moms who are just staring at this random 35-year-old man walking through the park, like beat bopping a little bit because he forgot where he was for 35 seconds and got really into music. So
I was going to say, that's not something to be embarrassed about. That's cool. Like, if you are comfortable enough, because not many people are comfortable enough that you can just get lost in your music, in your book, in whatever you have, and just start dancing or singing. Like, I'll be walking and just start singing along to the song. I know a lot of words to a lot of songs. I don't know why, but those just tend to stick in my mind. And sometimes I'll just belt it out. I don't care where I'm at. I think that's cool that you can do that. I don't think you should be embarrassed by that at all.
I just imagine in my head, like, they're probably having this troop meeting, and like, all right, so if you actually run into somebody looking like that, who's doing that at the park, call for help, run, do something else. I imagine that was the lesson that day.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. They were definitely talking about it. But I don't think you should be embarrassed. That was for sure. Kids, come over here. Let's stay away from that scary man. But, yeah, you don't have to be upset about it. That's what I think.
Well, there you go. I guess should we put a bow and wrap this one up tight for the night?
What you got?
I think it was good. We talked about a lot of good things. I do. You know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry for the expletive, for the, I'm just saying a band name. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. Hopefully I didn't, but like, it is what it is, right?
That's what they called themselves.
They gave themselves that name. They decided they were never, just like Mitchell said, they decided they weren't worried about making it big.
Well, I guess they're playing in this show, so what do I know?
I mean, they've made it somewhere. They're probably like one of the 12 o'clock noon bands or something like that.
Could you imagine? I just want to imagine a situation where, like, in a relationship, the guy or the girl comes home and is like, I surprised you with these band tickets.
I like them thinking about it. Like, we have all these songs. Can't think of a name. And then somebody got it. I know what it is. And then they come out with that. And then everyone goes, yeah, instead of looking at him like he is from outer space like they should have. And now they can't change it. The
Mannequin Band has 3 albums. One of them is self-titled. The other one is called Romantic. The other one is called Patience.
How many monthly listeners do they have on Spotify?
It's a good question. I'm looking up their track list of one of these albums. None of them have some interesting names, but I'm curious you mentioned Spotify. I wonder what their monthly listens are like.
I'm going to have to listen to a few songs from them now. Because you're never going to forget. I'm never going to forget that band name. That is going. See, this might be the idiot genius of them, though, Mitchell. Like, once you hear that name, you're never going to forget it. I mean, yes, you're correct. They're never going to be on the radio. They're never going to make millions of dollars, but you're always going to remember their band name.
Yeah, can you imagine them announcing a world tour? I can't. They've got 450,000 listeners on Spotify. That's so in my face. It's ridiculous.
I don't know if that's a lot or not, honestly, compared to like bigger bands, but
so many 450,000 a month.
They have their biggest song has nearly 9 million streams.
That's in my face.
That's an upset.
I mean, I've never listened to a song of theirs, so I'm not like I wasn't trying to dunk on you. I just doing what you said.
No, 100%.
I'm afraid. I just have to admit that I am going to look this up. I'm going to look up some songs because I need to hear it, but I'm afraid of Googling anything related to what
I would stick
what
to
might pop up.
Yeah. Stick to Spotify.
So again, yes.
I haven't been dunked on by facts like that. And
that was pretty good dunking.
Even honestly, most of the smaller bands at these festivals, especially Louder Than Life, most of them have a following of some sort. Obviously, it's probably a cult type of following, but they're not like, these guys didn't just start up yesterday and say, "Hey, we're gonna be outrageous like this." But hey, it is what it is. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Again, we're not trying to be offensive. We're just having fun. Hopefully, you guys understand that and enjoyed as well. Hope we didn't offend Mitchell's grandma. That's honestly who I'm thinking about. So
yeah, Grandma, you're the best, and I love you. And don't look up. If you don't know what we're talking about right now, don't go back and listen again.
Don't rewind.
Just be happy that you missed it and moving on to the next.
Yeah. So hopefully in a couple weeks I'll be able to tell you about Louder Than Life and how it went. Hopefully some of the sites that I saw. And it'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll be back again next week. Thanks again as always. Remember to comment, especially on the topic Mitchell was talking about. Share us your thoughts on what you would do if you were put in a situation where you had to skydive with somebody else who was trying to face their fear, and they were only going to go if you went with them. Let us know what you would do in that situation. And feel free to comment on any other things we talked about, especially fears and burnout, all those kinds of things. So we appreciate everybody who listens, and we'll see you next time.